Have you driven past a fire truck and said to yourself, man, how do I become a firefighter? Well, police officers, today's your lucky day. Because today we discuss the steps to become a firefighter. This is Into the Fire.
Ladies and gentlemen, another episode of Into the Fire podcast is here, and it begins now.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Into the Fire podcast. I am your host, Eric Legikis, along with Sean Fitzpatrick.
What's up, everybody?
So, Sean, you ready?
Eric, yes.
Ready for episode 6?
Oh, yes.
Episode 6. It feels like just yesterday was episode 5, but we're in episode 6.
We're moving along.
We're moving along.
Chugging along.
Chugging along. So, this is the, not viewers, listeners' choice?
I would call listener's choice.
Listener's choice?
I like that.
So, we're going to call this the listener's choice episode because a few weeks back we did a poll on Facebook and we asked you if you wanted to hear an episode about truck company operations or how to become a firefighter. Sorry, truckies. You can put it back in your pants and wait for next time because we're going to talk about how to become a firefighter.
Well, I guess we got to start somewhere.
Hey, the people spoke.
They did. Congratulations, everybody. Hopefully this helps you out.
And it was astounding, too. It was like 74% wanted how to become a firefighter.
I mean, the people spoke.
So I'm pretty sure the percentage that wanted the truck stuff was probably truckies.
They're the best kind, so it's all right.
There is, yes. So I do have to give it a quick disclaimer, and I apologize. It is allergy season here in South Carolina, so I'm a little stuffy, so I apologize ahead if you kind of hear me kind of take a pause so I don't sneeze into my microphone. So
he's got a splash guard, though, so it's all right.
I'll tell you, this is the only thing that I really hate about the South. I'll deal with the gators and snakes and hurricanes and all that, but allergies, God, they suck.
It's better than the snow.
Well, yeah, but snow doesn't... Well, I guess you can get the flu and cold and stuff like that. I don't know.
You get the flu here, too.
Well, that is true.
It ran rampant this year.
But at least, well, yeah, snow paints your car white, pollen paints it yellow. Whatever.
It's the color of friendship.
It is. So I do apologize ahead of time if I sound a little stuffy, but I'm going to make it through because the show must go on, as they say in show business. I don't know if they say that in podcasts, but they say that in show business. But
I also say break a leg.
Yeah, let's not break a leg because I don't have time. We already have somebody on leave for that. So
yeah, let's not do that. Mm-hmm. He's got a memorial balcony. It's okay.
Yeah. All right. But, so, like I said, we're going to talk about how to become a firefighter today. But first I wanted to talk about something really, really cool. The other day I got a message on Facebook. And we've been getting some fun messages on Facebook from people kind of just telling us how they love the podcast and they love what we're doing, which is good to hear. But I got a really cool message the other day from someone. Now, I won't be saying any names. Only reason why is because the person that contacted me, he's actually only 15 or 16 years old.
He's a minor.
He's a minor, so I will not be saying his name or anything on here. And even with permission, I still wouldn't do that. But he actually did a really cool thing here. So I'm going to read a little bit of his message because it was kind of cool. Mm-hmm. He basically talked to us and gave us some information about his father, who actually passed away this past January 2018 from a heart attack. But his father was a firefighter and a paramedic. But even more importantly, his father was part of, and I kind of remember it after I read the news article. I remember hearing something about this. I was only in high school back when it happened, but I do remember something about it. His father was a flight medic on a airplane, and it was up over in Seattle, Tacoma area, and the plane actually went down. Mm-hmm. So he contacted me and kind of asked me if we would be able to tell his dad's story. So I went and actually looked for the actual news article so I can kind of get a little more information about it. And let me tell you, this is, wow, this is a story.
It pulls at your heartstrings.
Oh, it definitely does. So this was back in 1996, I believe it was. I'm sorry. I know he was a firefighter in it was back in 1996 is when it happened. Mm-hmm. So it was an Aeromed airplane, and they were transporting a patient to Seattle Tacoma airport to go to a hospital in Seattle. Mm-hmm. Well, something happened during, they still don't know really what happened, but something happened where that plane kind of veered off course as they were coming to the runway and clipped a warehouse and went down. And this kid that contacted us, his father was the only survivor of this whole thing. So the pilot / owner of the company and a nurse and the patient all passed away. But his father actually, according to the article that I read, survived and actually crawled his way out of the warehouse to a small area where he was screaming for firefighters. Okay. And he was burned almost 50% of his body. But so that because of those type of injuries, he kind of had to quit his career, mainly as a firefighter. But he did make it his way up to a captain, and as this person put it in the Facebook message, that it took 22 years, but his dad survived when no one thought he was going to survive. The hospital told the family, don't rush to the hospital.
Yeah, he's not going to make it, is what they said.
Yeah, and he ended up surviving this, obviously with, probably mental and physical scars. But he ended up doing this. But unfortunately, this past January, he did pass away. But he basically finished his career with the rank of captain, and obviously all the other accolades that he had from being a flight medic, because that's a pretty cool thing too, to be a flight medic.
It's a really cool job. Let's quickly do some engine company math and figure out that this young man, his father, right, the son here that contacted us is 16. Whereas the doctors gave him zero chance for his dad to survive. 6 years later, here comes his son.
Yep.
It's impressive that they gave him zero time to live.
Oh, it is.
And now his 16-year-old son, who wants to, I believe, get into the fire service.
Well, as he put it here, the kid seems to have a really good head on his shoulders, just from the conversation that I had with him through Facebook.
Yeah.
But he said that the doctor said that he will not live. He's like, they were right, but they were off by 22 years, is what he told me.
Yeah.
And he goes, and he's like, if he didn't survive, I wouldn't have been born today. And I really hope you put his story on the podcast.
Yeah.
So I kind of think that's it's a good way to honor him.
It is.
Again, I wish I can say the kid's name, but I can't because I keep almost slipping. But
don't do it.
No, I don't. But I could say just the last name, Captain Livingston, is the gentleman's name that did pass away. We just want to say, Captain Livingston, thank you for all of your service. Thank you for everything you did for the people in Washington. And you'll be truly missed by not only your family, your friends, but the firefighting community in general. So rest well, Godspeed, and thank you for sharing that story. And if you want to share anything else too, and kind of have us talk about a story of someone who passed away from firefighting or in that field, please contact us on Facebook, and we'll do that, because I really think this is a really cool thing to do, is to honor someone in particular.
Yeah, to have a background story for somebody that related.
Absolutely.
It's nice to do.
But the cool thing about it, especially with this episode, is that it kind of leads into people wanting to be a part of the fire service, especially if your father, grandfather, whoever has been in the fire service before. it's kind of a cool episode to talk about this type of stuff, you know? So to kind of lead into this, Sean, tell us, I know you in the first episode you were here, you told us a little bit about why you want to become a firefighter, but let's go a little bit more in depth. Tell us a little bit more about how you started.
So, it started bright and early at the age of 4. Actually, probably before that. My uncle was a volunteer. Every 4th of July, the neighboring community threw a huge 4th of July, basically a fire truck parade. And everybody came from near and far. They all wanted to be there. You could hear, if we didn't make it to the parade, you could hear all of the federal cues from our house because they just ran them out. And then for my 4th birthday, my grandparents surprised me with a Dalmatian that I named Smokey. She was an excellent dog, lived for many, many years. And then I was, went to high school and decided I wanted to get into the fire service. Started volunteering at 16. Stayed there for a few years up in the Pennsylvania area, and then joined the military and moved to Montgomery County, Maryland, where I volunteered, and then I got hired here. But I've never forgotten where I've come from.
And so I think that's an important thing, too, is not to forget where you come from. Because my story, minus the military, it's kind of similar. My story started back in 2001, and I didn't volunteer, but I worked for a fire department that did paid on call.
Okay.
And for some people that don't know what paid on call basically means is you're almost a volunteer, but you get paid only for the calls that you go to.
Yes.
So you're not a career firefighter. You don't get benefits or anything like that. But if you respond to a call or you go to weekly training, you get paid during that time.
It might be like $10 an hour.
Yeah, it's not much, but it's it's enough to kind of put gas in your car or whatever. You definitely need another full-time job on top of it. You can't do that, only unless you're rich with deep pockets. And let's not go back to that. But so I worked for a department right outside Chicago for about a year, and then I switched to a different department, which was my hometown department, Brookfield, and I worked for them for 7 years as a paid on call. And during that time, I kind of I went to EMT school. I knew that in Illinois at the time you had to be a paramedic to even want to get a fire department job.
Okay.
So I went to paramedic school, worked as a paramedic, just tested for full-time departments. And let me tell you, Illinois, it's one tough place to get a job full-time. It is not easy.
I'm sure.
Unfortunately, Illinois is kind of one of those places where, and this is why I didn't go full-time there really, is because it's kind of a catch-22. Is to get out of an department, you have to go to an academy, but to get inside the academy, you have to be affiliated with the department. So
It's just like where you need work experience to get the job, but nobody will hire you to get the experience to get the job. It's a catch-22, and it's ridiculous.
Oh, and it sucked because for the longest time, I couldn't get a job full-time because I couldn't find a department that would sponsor me because I wasn't, quote-unquote, part of their department.
Yep.
So it was kind of hard for me to find a full-time job for the longest time. So I basically worked contract medic. And so I worked as a contract medic / firefighter for different departments. But that was kind of like my route until I got down here to South Carolina, which is where I tested for the full-time department. I was part of a huge 26-person hiring back in 2013.
And we have how many left?
Out of my group?
26?
I think we lost 13 or 14 out of my 26.
You're shooting 50%, just under.
So, not too bad. It's not too bad. Come on. I mean, 50%, that's failing in school, but...
Hey, now, I think it was the 8 or 9 of us that got hired back in 06, and we've only lost 1.
Okay, fine. So your number's a little bit better than ours, but...
Way better.
Hey, it's fine. But, so I was part of that big 26 hiring, but the roots of how to become a firefighter, it's challenging. It could be challenging on you. It could be challenging on your family. It also depends on what age you get in. I got in at a young age.
Yeah.
I got in at, 18, almost 19 years old is when I officially started.
I started at 16 and went through EMT. By the time I graduate high school 17, 18. So, I mean, I kind of